Board of Zoning and Adjustments of the City of Decatur is now in session. You are before the Board of Zoning and Adjustments today seeking special consideration to an ordinance based on special conditions or the literal enforcement of an ordinance will result in an unnecessary hardship for you, or there's been an error in the enforcement of the ordinance. It will require 4 favorable votes from the board to approve any request today. Please come forward when your name is called and state your name and address and what you would like this board to do. All cases will be called in the docketed order. Please call the roll.
Landine.
Here.
Ray Townsend.
Here.
Jim Thomas.
Here.
Ray Redding.
Here.
Jason Harris.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the are there any corrections to the minutes of last month's meeting?
None noted.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Please call the first case.
Case one table from July of last month says application Phil Taylor Jones for a 3-foot side yard setback variance for section 25-10-10-2E and 7.2-foot rear yard setback variance for section 25-10-10-2D for a deck located at 825 Grand Street Southeast, located in the historical zone.
Doug Backus, now Backus and Gray Law Firm, 118 Moulton Street East, Decatur, 35601. I'm appearing before this distinguished board on behalf of Mr. Jones in his application for the variance on setback lines. Mr. Jones has constructed, in the process of constructing a deck that is mostly behind the home at 825 Grant Street. And it does come into the side setback, side yard setback. The setback of the side yard is 6 feet. I've provided the board and the city with a survey prepared by Mr. David Fagerman, who's present with us today. The survey reflects a layout of the deck and shows in relation to the rear yard setback and side setback. At one point, the side setback is at 4.1 feet. The home has an existing offset house encroachment of 4.6 feet. So the deck in relation to that house encroachment is just about 5 inches there. The back of the deck extends into the rear yard setback going towards the garage and an alley. There is an existing garage, been there some time, but those two setbacks would, or the deck in relation to the existing structures is not that much different. Mr. Jones is asking for relief from the board to recognize the location of that deck. This deck is not covered. It just assists Mr. Jones in exiting from the back of the house to the rest of the yard and then towards the alley. There is fencing in the back of the yard along the alley, so the deck is not visible from the alley. It's definitely not visible from the front of the house due to fencing and the location of the home. There is also a step that comes along the base of the deck that would be about 3 feet from the boundary, west boundary of the lot. The deck is not covered. It is just a deck for the exit, ingress and egress from the back of the house. There is a little settee, table and chairs that are there. But Mr. Jones is of the belief that this deck is in keeping with the neighborhood. If you travel up and down the alley of that particular block of Grant Street, you'll see that there are other structures. You've got former greenhouses, you've got pergolas, and all along that block of Grant you have garages. In fact, the garages on the neighbors on both sides would further block any visibility for that deck. So Mr. Jones presents the deck for approval, set approval of that encroachments into those setbacks.
Are there questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I have a question. Are you, your name again, sir?
I'm Doug Backus.
Mr. Backus?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Backus, are you well, is Mr. Jones aware that the house is in a historical district?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Is Mr. Jones aware that the historical district must provide approval for any modifications to the house?
He is, yes, sir.
Did Mr. Jones receive a certificate of appropriateness for his modification?
There was initial approval, but that's still under presentation to the Historical Preservation Committee for approval of the final project.
So you're sharing that he received an approval, but you're saying, let's make sure I'm following. He did receive approval for the project. Is that what you're sharing with
He
me?
did receive an initial certificate of appropriateness, but that's having to be reviewed due to some time lapses in presentation of what he was of the full project.
Okay, so the appropriateness that he received approval from is different than what he has built?
Yes,
So that means that he has built something that is not, that does not meet that is not within the certificate of appropriateness.
that's not as of yet, that's right. We're going back to the Historic Preservation Committee and asking for approval of this at the same time that he is filed for consideration by Bose as well.
So he's gonna go back to them, is what you're
Yes, sir.
saying, what you are sharing with me.
Yes, sir.
So he has not made that contact with them to find out whether or not his current project is appropriate?
There has been discussion, but he has not appeared in front of the Historic Preservation Committee for that final approval yet.
So he's building something outside of the current appropriateness then?
Yes.
Okay? I'll yield my time to some others. I don't want to dominate.
Any other questions from the board? Guess my question is, what is the hardship?
The hardship in preparing the deck for exit off of the deck, there was the landing that was placed in there in order to have exit off the deck. That caused the distance to be just 3 feet there. The deck is in keeping in line with the corner of the house, so having egress off of the deck is the hardship that he's experiencing right now.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
The deck, is it a new deck or is it replacement of an existing deck?
It's a new deck that was replacing some stairs that were in the former deck. Mr. Jones?
I'd be happy to help out, since I look at it every day. But
If you'll state your name and address too. just for
I'm
the
Taylor
record.
Jones. I'm partners at BB Perrin Sports Grill, and I'm also a roof inspector, and a golf professional.
Okay, I need your address.
Ma'am,
I need your address.
825 Grant Street Southeast. And so originally I got approval for this deck, and we get to working on it, and a few adjustments got made. Well, it was getting into some cost because it had already been done by my friend, and it's underneath the roof line and in line with the bay window, so it's not outside any perimeters. It's all tongue and grooved, on footers, 6x6 post. It's built for 2 elephants to fight on it, and so originally I wanted to make a screened-in patio. So being a roof inspector, I got cost on roofing and building this. So I was gonna do that, but I got a stop work order. Well, when I got that first stop work order, the whole yard was in disarray. You couldn't even walk outside. Partial of the deck was finished. It was actually dangerous for any guest to come over. Supplies everywhere. And Miss Caroline stopped by and shut it down. Well, I waited for months and months and months. And I would say that it was so disturbing to my life that I had to just go ahead and deck it and get those construction supplies out of there. To go back and reset all these posts, the hardship would be about $4,000. You cannot see it from the front. You can't see it from the rear. It's built exceptionally well. I don't know if y'all been to BB Perrins, but I helped restore that in Benny's honor. But it's very nice. And so this deck has actually gotten into, it's actually a distraction. The house is a distraction. Living there is a distraction. It would be better to buy a house around Burning Tree or something at the moment. But it's disturbed the peace of me tremendously. And I'd like to just make it a deck from where it is, and you cannot see it from anywhere else. Cut off the posts that are twisted a little bit due to time that was gonna support the roof structure. Go back to the historic committee and let them see a new plan, a design from anything that they are disturbed about. But the footprint, it's there. It would just be a tremendous blow to me financially to redo it. And I'm actually just trying to make BB's better. I'm trying to make the neighborhood better. I'm trying to restore some other houses, which I already have. I've been ridiculed in these meetings. I've had my card thrown across the room, and which is defamation. And I'm just trying to finish this up and get it out of my life and put some railing up and live in peace. And you cannot see it. My neighbors, a lot of my neighbors like it. It's good for the neighborhood. I've put a lot of money into this house. It was in disrepair, and I don't ever plan on selling it. It's my home here in Decatur, and this is where I live. And it's been a big problem. So I hope that y'all can see it in your hearts to go ahead and get me past it.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Yeah, is this a bay window that's 4'6"? It's a 4'6" from the, I think you referenced it a moment ago.
Yes, sir.
And that's a grandfathered encroachment. And this deck would, the deck, not the stairs, but the deck would be 5 inches past that.
Yes.
I believe that's what you referenced?
Yes.
Okay. How tall is the deck?
David?
3 feet probably off
Okay.
ground.
The bay window's rather tall, I would imagine.
It goes up to the top of the house.
Okay.
How tall is the outdoor fireplace that's attached to the deck?
I would say its parameter is 20 feet. It's built to code. It's very nice. Herringbone on both sides with some historical brick. And only reason I did that project is because my brick mason, my friend, needed some work before Christmas because he had to keep his guys going, and I couldn't figure out anywhere else for him to do anything. And he said, well, let's put you up a fireplace. And I said, well, if that's what you want to do, he said, I'll do it for this. And it was a nice, friendly way of going about it. And it's something that I was told that you can't see it. It's freestanding, and it's all conforming to any guidelines, especially the historic. That's one that like a first stage check, and that kind of lineup. And so I went ahead and let him do it, but
Okay. You answered my question about the height.
Well,
Are there
ma'am.
other questions from the board?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, you're sharing with us about a fireplace now, and you shared earlier that you had your first stop work order, okay? Why did you get your first stop work order? Did they share with you why?
Due to this encroachment.
Due to
on
the encroachment,
On the
okay.
easement.
All right, so the fireplace, was that on the certificate of appropriateness that you had received earlier, or is it something that you're sharing was added on?
It's an addition to.
So you
to
have,
help.
okay, so you have,
But I did verbatimly, fireplaces can be checked off. And if you look into the historic guidelines, which I got the whole printout here, if y'all want to see it. And I could go through the whole thing and, so I've been dealing with this.
Sure.
And I've got other things to do to help the city out as best as I can. But here's the original thing that I submitted. Which we're gonna dial it back from this because, none of this needs to happen. It's built underneath the roof line. And it's not outside the bay window.
okay, so Mr. Jones,
Yes, sir.
this is what you are sharing that you provided to the historical committee to get the certificate of appropriateness, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so with that being said, this is what you had committed to doing, correct? This part?
I would, yeah, I was
That's what you-
committed. It was gonna be very
Right,
nice.
but that is what your certificate of appropriateness is for. And so when you went outside of the certificate of appropriateness, you then had an opportunity to go back to the historical society, the historical committee, correct?
Well, they said that they would never approve it.
Okay,
And-
so
And it was already built, like, literally, the whole deck was built. When
including
they
the
came and
fireplace?
gave me I'm not even sure it's been so long.
Okay, so, all right,
This has been
Situation.
amazing endeavor.
okay,
All right.
all right, thank you for your
The
time.
building department gave me this,
Oh, so you did get a building permit then?
and I got it inspected, I had them come out there and they said it's all built great. And I got this drawing, it was actually drawn by, a guy in the department.
Oh, so
And
someone,
that showed for the chimney.
okay, so the city of Decatur, so you got a building permit
I
then?
didn't get a building permit because it was already built. I threw it up because I didn't know you had to have a permit originally.
Oh,
I
okay,
really thought that you only had to have a COA.
oh,
And I got the COA and built most of the deck.
okay,
It was already mostly built, but it got stopped with like 20 boards left to go.
okay.
And so then, I mean, this has been a year. And
Sure.
This is amazing how long it's been. So that was January 6th, 2021.
Okay.
And the best thing I have though is the original drawing I gave them to get approved. And then I think I went back because the vision grows bigger as you go. And I went back and I wanted to roof it. So, they were working with me and everything, but then I think there's some prior discrepancies from some people on the board with me and my, girlfriend, I would call it. And so I think that there's some situations that were harbored in to, dismantle the process of me finishing. Which is sad.
All right,
Mr.
well, we're
Jones?
not gonna get into
Yeah.
that here,
Oh,
but,
right.
just to clarify though, you had the COA, you didn't follow what the COA approved, and you went outside of that, which is what led to the stop work order, correct?
The timeline, I should have mapped it out before I got in here, but I really didn't know we were gonna get into this. But, from the audience, I can tell that there will be interjection, so I figured that I would go ahead and explain myself in the hardship of financial, deprivation on having to adhere to that. And, Doug probably would like me to be quiet, but
Okay.
everything that I do, I really like to do it nice. Whether it's golf or serve barbecue, drive a boat, drive a car, whatever it is, I want to be the best at it. And I put a lot of sweat into this thing and finances.
But to answer my question, you had a COA for a particular layout, particular design, and you went outside the specs of what was approved.
Well, I didn't even realize I was going outside the first COA, but it was already almost built, and so I got a second one. I tried to draw all this up for them to go get another one. They weren't gonna approve it. And I had to, after 4 months of the whole yard being messed up, so I got the first stop work order, and this is a stop work order number 2. It says no COA. I understand it. This one is because the whole backyard was destroyed. It was actually a nuisance for property value, livability, neighbors looking in there, guests coming over. It was dangerous, and if I'm gonna have any family over, you got to finish just laying some boards down, even if they gotta come back up. But
And you do realize, regardless of whether it gets approved here or not, it will still be contingent on the HPC's approval.
oh yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay, just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any other questions from the board?
I just have one question. Did you ever get a building permit for any of this from the city of Decatur?
No, sir, because I didn't realize I was supposed to.
Just, you answered my question. Thank you.
Are there any comments from the public? If you'll come up here and state your name and address for the records, please.
Thank you, fellas.
My name's Jackie Joyner. I live at 820 Jackson Street. I live cat-a-quarter behind him. And I really don't know Taylor. I've only met him twice. But I got the thing in the mail about this.
Yes.
And because I have seen the deck and I have seen what he's done to the property, I think it's a beautiful, what he's done so far is a beautiful deck. He has fixed up this property so well. Before he moved there, I didn't feel safe in my alley because, quite frankly, I thought there were drug things going on at whoever lived there before. We have a camera, and there were things going on all hours of the night. He buys the property. He's really fixed it up. It's an improvement to the neighborhood. I don't know all the ins and outs of the stuff. I'm gonna just tell you as a neighbor, I'm very pleased with it. And I think he's done a very good job with what he's done so far.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any other comments from the public? Comments from the building department? Comments from the planning department?
The only comment, it's not on here, so if you could specifically place that condition that if the vote is yes, that it is conditional on approval of the new COA.
Okay, so whichever one of y'all makes the motion needs to put that in there. All right, there being no further comments, this appeal is presented to the board for its ruling. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the appeal with the condition that is, if passed, is contingent upon approval from the
HPC.
HPC. Yeah, I was about to
To
say
get a
something
new
else.
COA.
And get a new COA. Yep.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Lane Dean,
No.
Brad Town,
Yes.
Stephen Thomas,
No.
Larry Wade,
Yes.
Jess Eric.
Yes.
It would require 4 favorable votes, and you did not get 4. It has not been approved.
At least I got over 50%.
All right, please call the next case.
Case number 2, application appeal of Phoenix Cersei and Sam Brown for determination, for use permitted on field for section 2511 for R4 multifamily
Spencer, Searcy.
Are they here?
Cersei, Brian,
Not a fair fence or sound, not appear to be there.
All right,
no show.
we'll move that one to the end. We'll call it again in a minute. All right, please call case 3.
Application and appeal of Greystone Properties of Decatur LLC and Land Services LLC to modify requirements from section 2510(1)(I) to allow for 40% lot coverage and 15-foot front yard setback, setback of 15-foot rear yard setback, and a 5-foot, basically resulting an 8-foot side yard setback from the exterior lots, and to eliminate the additional building setback height requirements. Variances upon approval of a PRD 7 zoning rezoning by the city council, property located at 4101 Central Avenue Southwest, property located at AG1 Agricultural District.
My name is Blake McAnally. I'm with Pewright McAnally, 310 8th Avenue Northeast. Here today is an agent representing the applicants. We also represent a company that is pursuing the property for development. They're working across Central Avenue now on property that they've owned, and we are in the process of many different submittals and approvals. Just to help you understand all that is going on with this, we have made a submittal late June to the planning department for a PRD 7 planned residential development. That has been working through the planning department. We've gotten to a final. We're making the formal submittal actually today. That'll be considered at next month's planning commission. Also, back on the 28th of June, we submitted an application for rezoning on this property to take it from Ag 1 to PRD 7. That has been through Planning Commission with a recommendation for approval. It has been set by the council at their first reading for a public hearing that actually takes place Tuesday night at 6 o'clock in this room to approve or not the rezoning for the property. We're here today with the expectation of the development plan being approved and the rezoning being approved to pursue variances to the PRD 7. PRD 7 is a planned residential district. It is a district that affords the opportunity for different types of housing. It has the opportunity for single-family detached residential, semi-attached townhomes. That's what the end user expects to build here, is single-family detached homes and a few townhomes. That's the product that is in the market today, not only in our community, but really all around the country. That's what is happening. The end user for the property is a company that's been around 67 years. They're based out of Arkansas. They're working all over the Southeast. They're very professional in their approach. They have a goal of providing homes at affordable cost to anybody, and these are nice homes. They are very much like a patio home that we commonly see here in Decatur. This development as a PRD allows us to not only do the single-family detached, but mix in on part of the property the townhomes. So we've asked you today to consider several things that are listed in the PRD 7, and you may have in front of you the actual ordinance for this zone, and we're pursuing the 7. The variances we're asking for front and side yard and rear yard setbacks. The lot size is planned to be 40 wide by about 100 deep, 4,000 foot lot. The plan currently has the zoning currently has a 25 front yard, 30 rear, and 8 on the side. If you got a 100-foot lot and you take 55 feet out in front and rear yard setbacks, you really don't have much room to put an appropriate size home on it. There are other things that we're asking for. We're asking for a change in the maximum percent lot coverage of building compared to the gross development. We have about 34.75 acres that we're going to develop. Currently, with the layout that we have that will be submitted to the planning department today, we're actually about 36. So we're just slightly, with the plan that we are submitting, we're slightly over the 35. We asked for it to be 40 just to be able to get a little bit of a working room as we move forward. The last thing we asked for was a 15-foot setback variance that's related to the height of the building. There is in the ordinance a requirement that for each foot over 15 foot of height, the rear yard setback has to go up an equal foot. Most of the homes that are built today have a 9-foot ceiling. Most of them have a roof pitch that is approaching 8-12, so I mean, you get to 18 to 20 feet for a ridge height pretty quick with the homes that are constructed today. We're working with a zoning ordinance here that is over 40 years old. You all are, I'm sure, aware that through the One Decatur program, the city of Decatur has undertaken to rewrite the entire zoning ordinance and to begin beyond it being adopted, hopefully later this year, to be modified, to be fit more of a modern design. So we're here today to ask for these things because it's our anticipation that the new ordinance will provide for these. But we're ahead of the curve by about 3 or 4 months. We don't want to wait. There's obviously a market out there that we're trying to hit. So we're here today to ask for these, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. And I do have a copy of, if you care to see it, the latest plan that will come to the planning department today.
Questions from the board?
So, do you anticipate these homes to be about 20 feet tall?
It's possible. I'm not sure exactly. I've seen elevations of them. I will say this, on the townhomes, they're gonna be, they have a front garage and a front door, so they have a second floor. So those, on the townhome areas, you know, they're gonna be higher than that. They're gonna be approaching 30. So if you have a 15-foot setback and then you go 15 feet beyond it, that 15 becomes 30. So I'll be honest with you, I've never seen this type of requirement before, and I work all over Alabama in doing this, and Tennessee. So it's a unique requirement. I don't really understand why it's there, but you know, the height of a roof these days is still just 2 stories is a maximum. Now the homes are gonna be 1 story, and that's the majority of the development.
Mr. McAnally, in your application, you share a side yard setback of 8 feet, and I think you asked for 5 feet.
Correct,
So-
3-foot variance to 5.
Yes, sir. So I think that's just a typo on your letter. You may have to correct that part. But on the 3rd line down, it says a rear yard setback of 30 feet and a side yard setback of 8. And I think you mean 5 right there. So I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually the existing, the 8 on the second line down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That should be, I think that 8 should be 5, is what you're saying.
Let me make sure I'm
The
reading it correct.
application's correct, it's the.
Oh, the
it's
application's correct?
It's the
Yeah,
agenda that
it's
shows.
That's the existing.
Oh,
that's
okay,
the
okay,
One's
so
existing.
yeah,
asking for a
okay.
variance and the other is
8 is
correct.
existing, he's asking for 3, which would give him 5.
It's confusing because one's asking for the variance and the
Yeah,
other
but,
is.
so
the
what's
setback
written
after
is
the variance
correct.
occurs.
Okay, never
is-
mind,
this is
sir.
what's
Thank you.
We just tried to state what it was and then what we were
Okay,
asking
I
for
was
as a
going by the
variance.
application. Thank you so
What
much.
was-
You
what
are
was
good.
advertised was the incorrect.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? My questions for the planning department or the building department, we talked about this earlier, but just to clarify, if the new zoning gets approved, this would all be acceptable under the new PRD zone that we anticipate being approved with the rewrite?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Under the new PRD format that we are moving to in the new zoning, if that is approved, this variance would
Any other questions from the board? Questions or comments from the public? Comments from the building department? Comments from the planning department? Public testimony is now closed. There being no further comments, this appeal is presented to the board for its ruling. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept this application as presented today, public testimony.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Stephen Thomas,
Yes.
Terry Wade,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Lane Dean.
Yes. It has been approved. Do we need him on the application?
No,
Okay.
he's right on that.
It's
No,
what?
do we need his, he's not listed as a representative.
And I had that question about the earlier presentation as well.
Yeah, the
Attorney
attorney was-
Backus came up and made the presentation. His name is not on the application either.
It's the agent that they've chosen to represent them.
Well, I understand that, and I don't have a
Right.
problem with the professionalism of either one of these guys, but as far as following the guidelines that we have, and it says if your name's not on the application, so, you know,
All right, please recall case 2. I don't think he is,
Yeah.
they
I didn't
have
see
showed
anybody
up,
walk in.
just for the record.
Smith versus Samurai.
All right,
Weird one to not show up for.
is there a motion to dismiss case number 2?
motion,
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
No, we don't have to show it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and wait till.
Stephen Thomas,
Yes.
Terry Wade,
yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Lane Dean,
Yes.
Brad Johnson.
Yes.
I believe all you fine citizens are here for that case. They will have to reapply, and it will get republished, and some of you, all of you may get new letters in the mail when it gets re-added to the agenda, since they did not show up.
Since it's been dismissed, but is it appropriate to allow them to ask questions since they're not here?
Well, there's nothing to prosecute.
Yeah, so, okay. I just didn't want to waste their time any more than they already did.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be fair without the,
That's what I was saying,
yeah,
because we might get something wrong.
Right.
shouldn't it?
Right,
exactly.
so,
No
again,
rebuttal.
y'all will see the same notice that y'all got this time, and it'll be published when and if they reapply and get put on a future agenda. All right, do we have any other new business? Have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
All in favor, say aye.